Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. So today what I want to do is walk you through my FX3 rig and how I set up my FX3 when I'm filming video content for brands. And the reason I'm making this video is because this week, in all honesty, has been really busy. I've had a whole host of meetings, quotes that had to go out, projects I had to complete, new projects that had to get started in the editing phase. I had a shoot this morning, I have multiple shoots this weekend, and things have just been really kind of crazy. In the midst of all that craziness, I haven't really had a lot of mental capacity to throw energy at creating a YouTube video, but that kind of got me thinking, because one of the things I've always wanted this channel to be about was not just me sitting in an office talking to you about camera gear or my thoughts on some latest gear or cinematography trends or anything like that. I really want this channel to show an inside, kind of behind the scenes perspective on what it looks like to actually run a video and photography business from someone who's actually out in the field doing exactly that. And so because I'm literally out in the field this week shooting multiple different projects where I'm shooting video content for brands, I figured I would just show you the rig that I'm literally using this week to film all of this content and just kind of walk you through how I set up my rig. So I shoot a lot of different types of work, from commercial and brand projects to weddings, travel films, and some narrative docu-style projects as well. But this week I'm mostly focused on brand video content. I have a local realtor that I have a retainer with, and so I shoot content for him on a monthly basis. And then I'm also covering a large beach volleyball tournament that's happening down at our local state park. And so what I want to do is just kind of walk you through the rig that I've built out for this week to capture the stuff that I need to capture. This rig is built around the Sony FX3, which is the primary camera I use for all of my video work. And what I'm gonna do, this is the entire rig itself, just kind of how I built the whole thing out. What I'm gonna do is tear the whole thing apart and then talk about each of the pieces as I kind of put it back together for you. All right, so now the rig is broken down to just the camera and the cage itself, and the cage basically stays on the camera all the time, so I'm not gonna take that all the way off. But like I've already said before, the primary camera that I'm using for capturing all of my video content for my business is the Sony FX3. But the Sony FX3 is really the kind of the core of all of my video work for my entire brand, really in general. Mounted to the FX3, I have my cage, and I'm using the full cage from Tilta. There's a lot of different cage options out there, and I don't think Tilta is the best of the best. Small Rig makes a great one, Condor Blue makes a great one. I forget exactly why I chose the Tilta cage. I did a lot of research and decided on the Tilta cage, and it's worked fantastic for me. But if you have the Small Rig cage or the Condor Blue cage or any of those other cages, I'm sure those are fantastic as well. But the one thing I do want to mention on the Tilta cage is that for this specific week of shooting, I did mount the detachable NATO rail to the top of this camera. So I'm not using the Sony FX3's XLR handle for this project. So attaching to that top NATO rail is this top handle from Tilta. This is their compact NATO rail top handle. And I really like this because it's super lightweight. It just slides right onto the NATO rail, and then you can kind of twist the lock to attach it. And it's super lightweight, super ergonomic in the hand. It doesn't add a lot of bulk to the rig. And this kind of a rubberized thing at the bottom makes it really comfortable to hold. I really like having the option of having a top handle when I'm running around to shoot content. And so having the option to quickly slide this off or on, depending on if I want it, is a fantastic option here. Speaking of NATO rail attachments, on the left side of the camera here, so I have the grip on the right side for my hand. On the left side attached to the NATO rail is this Small Rig side handle. And this is just a little wooden side handle. I love that, again, it attaches with a NATO rail, so I can very quickly take this off if I want to. But this just gives me a really nice, multiple points of contact on this camera. So I can hold it from the top, I can hold it just from the left, just from the right, or both if I really want some extra grip here. I also mount some stuff to the top of each of these, which we'll see in a minute. But this is kind of the basic gripping options that I have set up for the FX3. Moving on, I want to talk about the monitor that I'm using, because for this specific shoot, especially for the volleyball tournament that I'm shooting this weekend, I really wanted to have an external monitor so I could really clearly see the subjects that are in focus and see what I'm actually capturing. It's going to be super bright out of the beach, and just having an external monitor is really helpful. And so at the front of my little top handle is a hot shoe, and I'm just mounting this little Small Rig monitor adapter to the top of that. It just screws in with a hot shoe, and then there's a little 1/4-20 screw at the top of that. And so I can just mount my monitor, which is the Atomos Ninja 5. So I just screw that in, mount that right to the top of the handle, and that's just a really great way to monitor things, especially in brighter light. Then, because I'm going to be out shooting for a long extended amount of time, I really wanted to have an external battery solution. Plus, I really wanted to just add a little bit more weight to this rig, especially at the volleyball tournament. I'm going to be walking around on the sand on the beach, and it's just easier to have shaky footage. I really wanted to add some extra weight and extra beef to this rig. And so I am going to be adding a V-mount battery to this rig, and I'm doing that via this little Small Rig V-mount battery plate, which, if you haven't heard of this is just a fantastic little compact way to add a V-mount battery to your rig without having to add rails and all this. This just slides onto the little Arca Swiss mount on the bottom of the Tilta cage. And so literally you can just slide this on like this, slide it on, get it centered up, and then just lock the little clamp in. And now on the back, you have this mount where you can put a V-mount battery. The V-mount battery that I'm using is this Small Rig 99 watt hour battery. It gives me plenty of power, lasts me for the full day. I have a couple of these just as a backup, but I've really never had one die on me. And so this V-mount battery just clips onto the back of the plate here, and then you can just screw that down. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna fold this down, unfold the screen, just because we are gonna need access to the screen. Fold the battery back up, screw that in, and now we have a full V-mount on the back of the rig. Like I said before, a lot of the deliverables from these shoots are going specifically to social media. And so I need to have a quick lav option in case someone wants to jump on camera and just say something, do a quick talking head bit. And so what I'm using for that is the little DJI mic receiver. And then I have the 2 lavs just kind of in my bag in case I need to grab those. I can just magnet those to someone's shirt, clip it on somewhere, and have a really nice lav solution. Now I'm mounting this receiver. There's a little hot shoe mount on the left side of the camera, kind of between the grip and the top handle. And so that's where I'm mounting that. Just kind of allows me to see levels as I'm shooting and stays out of the way of everything else. And then one more thing that I'm actually not picturing here because I don't have it yet is on the top of this left side grip is another cold shoe adapter. And what I'm going to be doing is putting my GoPro Hero 12 on top of that so I can kind of film some content behind the scenes stuff for myself while I'm also filming content for the tournaments. The reason I can't mount this and show it to you right now is because I only have one of these cold shoe to like 1/4-20 adapters, and I usually don't shoot with my monitor and my GoPro at the same time, so I've never run into this issue. When I went to build out this rig for this weekend, I realized I need an extra one of these mounts, so I ordered one on Amazon and it'll be here tomorrow. So basically, I'll have a GoPro mounted kind of like right here, so I can have some behind the scenes, wide angle content shooting as I'm shooting the actual content I'm filming for the tournaments. Now, obviously, this camera doesn't have a lens on it. So for the volleyball tournaments and all that, primarily, I'm going to be shooting on the Sony 70-200 f4. This is the macro version 2 lens that came out, I think, last year. Mounted on the front of this, I have one of these little magnetic plates. These are the Helix Maglock plates for the McKinnon Maglock VND filters. I have 2 of these different filters. I have the 2 to 5 stop filter and the 6 to 9 stop filter. For some of the content that I'm shooting this week, I think it's just going to be the 2 to 5. We're shooting in the morning, kind of in the woods and all that, so I shouldn't need a lot. But out at the beach, I'm definitely going to need that 6 to 9 if I want to shoot at 24 frames per second or even in 60. It gets really, really bright out there with all the sand and all that. So I have the 2 to 5 and the 6 to 9 depending on my needs. Those will just be in my bag. And what I really love about these filters is that I have all these base plates installed on my lenses, and so you can literally just click and drop, and now your VND is mounted on your lens. If you need to take it off, you just squeeze the little side tabs, pop it off. There's no threading or anything. You can just pop it from lens to lens. It makes it super, super easy. So that's the FX3 rig that I've built out for this week for capturing this content for these brands. I really wanted to make this video just an actual practical, what am I actually shooting with this week as I'm actively on these projects. If you found it helpful or entertaining at least, let me know down below in the comments or drop a like on this video. That would be super appreciated, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.